One day you see people lining up in front of a store, and the next time you visit, the store has already gone out of business and is now a vacant property. Hey everyone, Seraphin here, and I want to start this video with a very interesting story on food culture. Between 2022 and 2023, store after store of a popular bakery chain in Japan closed their doors due to weak sales and high costs. What made all of this even more unusual is that they weren't just any ordinary bakery stores. These were Nogami stores. Founded in 2013, Nogami was the pioneer of Premium Shokupan. They were the first business to really sell these pricey, high-end shokupan, supposedly made with higher quality ingredients and so on. They were once featured in many media outlets as a bakery that sells 50,000 breads a day. At the brand's peak, it operated more than 200 stores all over Japan and had long lines of customers, people waiting hours just to buy their bread. The signature product of this bakery chain is a premium bread that they call Premium Shokupan. Nama is a Japanese kanji that, as an adjective, means raw, unprocessed, or pure, but here it is meant to associate the mouthfeel of the bread to the melt-in-the-mouth sensation of confectionaries that already use the term nama in Japan, such as nama chocolate and nama caramel. This nama term actually comes from nama kurimu, which is the Japanese name for fresh cream, an ingredient known to melt in your mouth. As for the term shokupan, if you are not familiar with what that is, you may want to watch some of my recipe videos on this specific bread. Basically, it's an enriched Japanese milk bread modeled after Western white loaf bread, but it has a very different texture and taste due to the udane process that is usually incorporated into the preparation step. Because of the difference in cultural food preferences, generally speaking in the Far East and East Asia, enriched breads are usually more popular than lean breads. Actually, this is a part of a global trend. Around the world, consumers' demand for soft bread has been on the rise for quite a while. Even in France, the birthplace of the famous crusty baguettes, younger French consumers have been demanding a softer version of the crunchy bread for quite a while. But we'll save that for later and return to our shokupan story first. So, shokupan is a very popular bread in Japan, widely sold by bakeries and supermarkets. It's basically a household staple. Now, the shokupan that the Nogami stores introduced was definitely not meant to be a regular supermarket shokupan. Like any premium product, it's supposed to stand apart from its regular counterparts. As a measure against similar products, the name Koukyu Nama Shokupan, Premium Nama Shokupan was registered as a trademark in 2015. The company promoted this Premium Nama Shokupan as a delicious bread that can be eaten even as is, and it is said to be so soft that it melts in your mouth as you eat it from crumb to crust. And the best way to improve its taste is to let it sit for a day. Because of its high price, it was also promoted as a gift to impress someone with. Okay. If you bake shokupan as many times as I have, the attributes such as fluffy, soft, melt in the mouth, sweeter the next day, etc. are nothing new, and you'd have effortlessly spotted the marketing gimmick from a mile away. But anyway, to make a long story short, this high-end or premium shokupan became very popular. And two companies, Nogami and Sakimoto, accelerated this boom of selling high-end shokupan in 2018 by opening many premium shokupan stores all over Japan. Right from the beginning, many experts predicted that this new food fad, pretty much like the tapioca, an English word used in Japan to refer to Taiwanese bubble tea, and the pancake booms preceding it, would not last. But that didn't stop many people from jumping on the bandwagon, either by becoming a franchisee, aka an FC owner as they call it in Japan, or by starting a new brand that sells more or less the same kind of bread. Like this one that somehow found its way into gift bags for Oscar nominees in 2023. As the boom continued, there were even more audacious attempts, such as these Premium Shokupan bakery stores with gimmicky names. These odd names were, for a while, considered to be a smart move. Their unusual and odd-sounding names generated free advertising through word of mouth and social media or SNS marketing. But when the fad was over, as predicted, any store closures were also quickly and widely spread, and negative comments started to fill the media where the stores gained popularity in the first place. But this time, bad news traveled much faster than good news, and soon most of the stores found themselves in the red. Just as the boom was beginning to fade in 2019, the pandemic hit. Like the saying goes, when it rains, it pours. In the case of Nogami bakery chain, it was made worse by conflicts between franchisees or FC owners and the management. For context, the majority of Nogami stores were run by franchisees, and there were only a few of these stores directly managed by Nogami management. So after almost 3 years of seeing their businesses dipping into the red with sales plummeting, the franchisees had been requesting for a reduction on the royalties that they had to pay every month. In January 2023, multiple FC owners jointly submitted the request with verifiable evidence to the Nogami management. In response, the management countered by notifying 6 FC owners of contract cancellation. This may sound simple, but contract cancellation is not as easy for the franchisees as it sounds, which we'll see in just a second. As the drama continued to unfold, the management took tougher measures. One of the FC owners received this notice, which roughly translated to, if the overdue royalties are not paid within 1 week, the franchise agreement will be cancelled without hesitation. 10 FC owners were said to have received such a notice. It was also revealed that there were heavy penalties on the early termination of the contract. And obviously, as a consequence, FC owners could not just simply quit without paying a substantial amount. The strong reaction from the management was said to be a reflection of the severe financial situation at the headquarters. Inside information, as quoted here, revealed that the Nogami headquarters was already running at a significant deficit every month, and collecting royalties was a matter of life and death for the company. Litigation ensued. One former FC owner in 2023 filed a lawsuit claiming that the contract he signed with Nogami Holdings in August in 2022 was invalid and sought 1 yen in damages, which is about 1 penny. He claimed to have suffered a total loss of about 500 million yen, but stated that his goal was not to recover that money. The Nogami management have given interviews to some media outlets, but the overall media sentiment seems to be on the side of FC owners. Continued media coverage led to a story of a new CEO that resigned after 3 months at the helm. So all of this, added to more bad publicity, brought down the hype even further. Interestingly, this author pointed out that there is an unspoken rule in Japanese society that staple foods should be sold at reasonable prices so that they can be within the reach of commoners. Bread has replaced rice as a staple food for Japanese people a long time ago, so high-end shokupan, much like high-end rice that was sold at a premium price, is just simply unacceptable. This being considered one of the reasons for the collapse of such a business model. The same author also argued that the downturn of this high-end shokupan trend was the result of too many players jumping into the same business in the wrong era. It's a fact that Japan is a society with a declining population. The expansion business strategies established during the era of population growth cannot be applied to the current era, because without sufficient consumers to support the expansion, no matter how much technology advances, domestic businesses will be forced to downsize. In other words, the Japanese business model of creating many similar stores has become an export industry that sells products to the world rather than something that can be done domestically with a declining population. For example, when Nogami and Sakimoto Bakery gained attention for their premium bread, many shops immediately called themselves high-end bread. Imitation culture took hold, and lookalikes appeared one after another, confusing consumers. So almost like the hard reality of the Japanese saying, which can be roughly translated to, just because something worked once doesn't mean it will work if you aim for the same thing in the same way. The rapid rise and fall of such a business model was playing out in real life. One day you see people lining up in front of a store, and the next time you visit, the store has already gone out of business and is now a vacant property. As the domestic market cannot project sustainable and expanding operations in the future, the next rational move is to export this business model overseas. And that might explain the premium bread of Ginza Nishikawa that was seen as one of the goodies found in the gift bags for Oscar nominees in 2023. Would Hollywood celebrities fall in love with Premium Shokupan? Maybe, but I personally doubt it, judging by the rise of clean labels and the healthier sourdough trends that are gaining traction in the States. Surely there are many more opinions on this, and rest assured, as long as premium wines and cheeses are still selling as well as value ones, there will always be such premium foods. Now, all of this could be compiled into an interesting case study to be discussed in business schools, but for me, as a curious home baker, I'm more interested in these negative comments that adorned many Japanese SNS or social media. It's just sweetened with sugar. There's no difference from sweet bread. I see the relevancy of the issues in these comments. Perhaps more influentially, on May 28, 2021, famous TV personalities Matsuko Deluxe and comedian Ariyoshi Hiroyuki in their show practically put a break on premium or high-end shokupan. While this talk show may not have made much of a splash in the West, the conversation though has several interesting points that are worthy of our attention. In the episode, in response to a comment from a viewer that said, "I just love hard bread," Ariyoshi agreed enthusiastically, saying, "I love hard bread. I really love it. I love to eat something that's chewy." Now, kadaipang, or hard bread, is the Japanese term for crusty baguettes, or rustic artisan breads with that hard crust. In the show, it was mentioned that the other day, Ariyoshi saw a news article about the issue of French bread becoming softer in France to appeal to younger people, and he went on to talk about how he strongly objected to such a trend. The conversation then moved on to double soft bread in Japan, and eventually Matsuko chimed in and said, "Isn't there a type of white bread that's been trending lately? I'm not a big fan of that kind of bread." And to that comment, Ariyoshi joined in and said, "Too much butter and sugar in it." Matsuko then added, "It's practically a cake." Ariyoshi agreed, "Yes, it's a cake." As expected, their comments quickly spread, practically putting a brake on any further chance of Premium Shokupan gaining more traction. Personally, I couldn't agree more with many of the points that they raised in the show. In many of my previous videos, I've talked about the limits of certain ingredients, sugar, honey, dairy, and fat, etc., that we can incorporate into a bread such as shokupan. From scientific papers, we learned that observing the upper limits of 6% for sugar, 10% for honey powder, 25% water replacement for milk, and about 5 to 6% for the total fat will give us the best results when baking a white enriched bread such as shokupan. Too much of these ingredients will get us lower quality, inferior, and unpleasant results in the volume, texture, taste, and mouthfeel of the baked bread. I'd like to speculate that these are important facts that may have been ignored in the preparation of the premium bread, while they may claim otherwise. In my subjective rationale, instead of a premium shokupan bread, I'd rather call it a low-quality bread with excessive ingredients. You just simply can't eat this so-called premium shokupan like the way we eat the shokupan bread that we're so familiar with. These premium shokupan breads are made with excessive amounts of fresh cream, or nama cream, fat and sugar, or honey for that matter. That's why we heard comments such as "once is enough" and "too much fat and sugar." From the outset, I've always had reservations about premium shokupan. It's a food fad that became a cash-grabbing gimmick. That's it, and it appears to be fading away, which is a good thing. We can now breathe a sigh of relief and say that the shokupan moniker is returning to its pristine position as a moderately enriched white bread. Soft, fluffy, with a subtle, natural sweetness and melt-in-your-mouth texture. A bread that stays fresh and lasts longer and actually tastes better the next day, as it has always been loved by so many different people across so many different cultures. Now, while fads coming and going is nothing to be alarmed about, what's unfolding in France, though, has me thinking quite a lot. As mentioned by Ariyoshi, the trend of French baguettes getting softer is a fact. It has digital footprints that we can trace all the way back to more than a decade ago. Here's an article on the Wall Street Journal talking about this specific trend in 2013. And as of late, there are many articles in French media such as this and this. It is a trend that seems to be getting more and more widespread. For someone who once spent a month trying to get the perfect crusty French baguettes, looking for a crust that sings, the trend of French baguettes getting softer came as a shock. Read this, which I freely translate. 80% of the 1,200 baguettes that I sell every day are lightly baked baguettes, size Damien Didham, whose baguette was voted best baguette in Paris in 2022. Let me explain. Premium Shokupan is a fad, but this softening of crusty bread is a general trend. And if we cannot stop this trend, in my humble opinion, the crusty baguette that we're so familiar with may one day become a thing of the past. There's actually science behind why a hard and crispy crust of a baguette makes the flavor of the bread better, as shown in this paper that I've talked a lot about before, so I'm not going to repeat all of it here. But perhaps more shockingly, this bread trend towards softer baguettes may be a part of a wider trend towards softer foods with some pretty negative consequences. Researchers have found that our jaws seem to be shrinking, and one of the purported reasons is that we don't have to chew as much. Our food is softer and our jaws are changing, and these shrinking jaws are causing quite a few issues, including more teeth crowding problems, wisdom tooth impaction, and more. The research behind these issues generally agrees that many of these issues are mainly a result of lifestyle changes. A lot of our ancestors had no issues with their teeth or jaw structure. I don't want to say that it's bad for us or anyone to eat soft bread, but I think that we need to make sure to retain these legacy breads, especially considering what the science says about the importance of a crisp crust. So essentially, even though the trend seems to be shifting in the other direction, I believe we have to stand firm and make sure to continue preserving crusty and crispy bread, especially baguettes as they are supposed to be. Crispy on the surface, soft inside. And that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and bye!